You caught me right in the middle of it. Very challenging. So basically, I manage everything that has to do with the top of the funnel, the acquisition, both paid and also organic. So from my point of view, it's obviously looking at two key factors. One is, how do I create more traffic? How do I create better ads? How do I find better targeting? How do I find new platforms to advertise on, or which platforms haven't we utilized enough? And the second is working on CVR. How do I create more juice from the current traffic? How do I make Google search better? How do I make Facebook better? How do I create a website? How do I continue to focus on our website? How do we create content that converts better? How do we create CTAs that work better? How do we create messaging that works better? Everything that really has to do with trying to optimize the user journey in our website and our landing pages. I think for us, one of the biggest struggles of the upcoming year is going to be mobile, because we're a tool for salespeople, for marketeers, and we may use the desktop for Lusha. But at the same time, when you're looking at acquisition, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Google, whether it's LinkedIn, the majority of traffic is mobile. The thing is that Lusha is on a freemium base. So basically you can use the product from day one. You get credits, you can really use the product, get the information that you need. So how are you going to transition people that start the funnel on mobile? How do you get them to actually open up on desktop? And that would be, I think, or one of our biggest challenges. So that's a big issue. And a lot of our planning is really trying to, first of all, tackle issues like mobile, which we see a potential for growth. And at the same time, really optimize our current efforts where we can do it a lot better. And then it's also about getting enough resources, because a lot of the things that we want to do is dependent on time, it's dependent on manpower, it's dependent on stakeholders helping us. How do I get the BI and BA team to help us? How do I get the product team together with us? Everything that's internal in the marketing, it's usually a lot easier if I need automation to help me, if I need product marketing to help me, or social. But getting other departments is a lot more difficult. So that's definitely a priority for us. It's working on creating shared dashboards. I think that's very, because what happens where the marketing is working on one aspect, the sales is working on a different one. There has to be one source of truth, because they work on Salesforce, I work on Google Ads. We're not always speaking the same language. One dashboard created by the BA is definitely a great start for everybody to look at the same place. Another thing is obviously in terms of attribution, trying to connect between the two, to understand what campaigns, what activities, whether it's paid or organic, actually has an impact later on sales. The attribution is very difficult. It's very hard to input. You never know if the specific YouTube ad might create a view that later on, 60 days later, helped to close that sale. But it's a start. It's the shared reporting. It's the weeklies or bi-weeklies that we have, which allow us to be in sync and for them to understand where we are in our pace, how much are we spending, how much registrations are we getting, and also understanding from them. Because at the end, if I'm spending $1 million plus, I need to know at that month, okay, am I going to expect a return on that? Because usually it takes around like 30 days for a sale to get closed. So you need to really understand, okay, are you just spending money? I have an ROI goal. So I need to understand from that, or from the reporting, really what's the situation. So I think it's a lot about the communications, one source of truth, and attribution, working for that solution. I can try and explain as much as I can. Basically, our shared KPIs are, I have to create at the end an X amount of demos, X amount of PQLs or SQLs. It's not necessarily what I optimize towards, because like I said, we're self-service and we're not B2B. We're not in the game necessarily, because at the end, the user signups and then can use the product, and then from there, perhaps become a lead, a demo, etc. But it's still something that we look at, even though it's not necessarily my main KPI. At the end, I need to support an office in the US with 20 salespeople. If I don't bring enough volume from the US, then at the end, there's not going to be enough inbound leads. I wouldn't say that I deal with it on a daily basis. You're in check every 2 weeks because I need to know, okay, what am I creating? Let's say I'm increasing the number of signups from the US. Is there actually an impact on leads? We do need to see every week, every 2 weeks. When I'm looking at the beginning of the month, it always seems, oh, I'm not going to see a return on the money. We start with a very low ROI. If you monitor the situation and also you're in contact with other departments to understand what's happening in the pipeline, that makes you usually a lot more comfortable as the month goes on because that probably there's enough juice in the pipeline to close deals later on in the month or even months that will allow you to continue with the pace because we're not at the same pace. We're actually always increasing. We're always in more money. 1 million, we're now a lot more closer to 2 million. And that can only sustain itself if we do see sales from the enterprise. So first of all, I look at a blended model. I don't separate between paid and organic. It's very clear because we see it once we increased our paid campaigns. There was an impact on organics. For instance, we spent a lot of money on YouTube. We saw a 30-40% increase in brand awareness in US. We saw more searches. So you can't disconnect between the two. We use a lot of Google Analytics. There is a column that I like, which is page value. It helps you to understand how a specific page helps you in getting users to convert. We don't look at it all the time, but we try to identify the pages that seem to have a value and we can try to improve. And we look over time, did we get more traffic to that page? Was it more appealing? Did the page value increase? Is it assisting more in creating conversions? You're always going to have places like the blog that generate traffic and not so much conversions. For instance, we just updated a page on the website, which is about our data. Now, we're a data company, and beforehand, the page wasn't good. It didn't create trust. Now, is it going to help convert? I'm not sure we're necessarily going to see that page value increase. But when you create a page with more transparent about who you are, what your services are, that's going to help create trust. Even if that doesn't create a conversion at that same second, it will definitely help you later on. Or the fact that you create content that SEO, you're considered by Google a topical expert. Yeah. That creates trust, that creates transparency, that helps your brand. You can't always calculate the effect of these things, but I'm a true believer that this is something that you'll see later on. You'll see the effect of how you did a lot of small things, and you'll see later on how you increased in your rankings, how you increased in your conversion rate, and how you increased in brand searches. I had a past in gaming. That's told me in Lucky Fish Games that later on. So that's the model of social gaming. They allow you to experience the product. They let you actually play to get something from it and use psychological effects to create some kind of wealth. And so it doesn't matter if it's B2B or B2C. Now we're trying to get the job done when we're into B2B. And if there's a tool that allows that to happen, then obviously that helps create a dependency. We get tons of offers and they're always very suspicious about this software or this program. The fact that you can actually get a chance to experience it over time. I'm not a big fan of the 14-day free trials because a lot of time it falls in between the cracks. Am I really going to spend that 14 days testing the product every day? No, probably not. So the fact that you get a limited time to really test it a little bit, just get a taste, create that small dependency or see the opportunities that the software gives you. I think that PLG is the way a lot of companies should go. Now we have more flexibility because we work with bigger budgets. So obviously I'm not close to turning it off quickly. So we do have more time to check. I usually though, because we're PLG, because I know from the data that usually a user doesn't require more than 1 or 2 touch points to just initially sign up. I'm not talking about using the product, but just signing up. We don't even ask for a credit card. So really, it's just a work email, and it's a less than 1 minute process. So it's probably 30 seconds to sign up. So if I see a source, a campaign that's generating enough traffic, I'm talking even about 50, 100 clicks, whatever, and there's no sign up. We even have something that's before the sign up, which is called the lead, where you just put the email. You're not even signing up yet. You just start the process. And I'm seeing traffic and nothing happens in that stat. Then obviously it's something to monitor closely. Either it's the landing page or the creative or just the channel. We have some benchmark, and if I see that we added with traffic and it's a way less than the benchmark, I know there's something wrong with the campaign or the source of the targeting. So Lusha was a bootstrap company. When I joined Lusha, it was already after its round A. That was why suddenly there was paid acquisition, because there were always some campaigns before my time, but we're talking about very small budgets, testing here or there, a few $1,000s, nothing serious. So once the company raised capital, that's where it was, let's start spending money on. That was 40 million. I wouldn't say that there was this difference between the 40 million, the round A, and the round B with the 205, because we were very lucky for the paid to pick up very quickly. It just worked from start. So once you're also creating revenue from it and you're creating a lot of traffic, and it was just budgets growing really quickly. I have to give a lot of credit to Yoni and Asaf, the founders, who pushed me to be more adventurous, to spend more money, to not be afraid of just one word's ROI. I've worked in a few companies, and Lusha is the first company where it was, let's push our limits. Let's not worry now about CPA. The company was also generating revenue. They were allowing me to constantly push the limits, trying new things, testing. The fact that you have money really just makes it so much easier, but you also need the leadership and the decision to allow paid acquisition to grow. You need to risk money. You cannot go step by step. You have to think big, and you have to push ahead. Now, the next phase of growing, initially, if you asked me, I would have thought going from 5,000 to 2 million is a huge challenge. I don't know how it's going to happen. Well, a main challenge is now how to take that 2 million into 4 million to 5 million, because now you got your low hanging fruits. Still, there's a lot of opportunity. We have the entire US market to grow in, but still already doing good things on these different platforms. How are you going to do it even better? That's a huge challenge. And once you have that amount of money, because it's raised with certain expectations, then definitely it's a huge challenge how to take that 2 million, turn it into 4.